Alright, so this is 7H, or trolley gag, or that's what I should have done in the first video. My name is Ben. I'm making this video because I bought some ammo the other day. I took some friends out to the range, and I bought some of this Perfecta, labeled 223 Remington 55 grain FMJ ball ammo. And you know, it was really cheap. I think it was $12 or $13 a box of 50, something in that ballpark. That sounds about right. It was pretty cheap ammo, but it wasn't, you know, significantly more cheap than something like PMC or Winchester White Box or something like that. But I'm making a video about it specifically because this ammo is significantly lower in quality compared to other inexpensive ammo I've bought. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't expect it to be match ammo. I hand load ammo when I expect it to be accurate. But for the range day, we just wanted to plink with some ammo, and we were fairly disappointed with what we got. So I'm going to talk about it. Maybe I'll zoom in, zoom out. I'm not really sure. Let me see. Let's back it out a bit. So I have taken apart one of the rounds so that you can see what's inside. It looks like it's got a fair bit of ball powder. Let me see if I can get my digital scale. Let me remove the brass. This is still primed brass. You can see, I don't know if you can see, let me get a flashlight. If you can see, whoop. Come on, little guy. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. You see the three little things right around the rim. Those are the crimps. They've crimped the primer. Strangely, though, they did not crimp the brass. So you've got a nice cantilever there, nice little cantilever. But the brass itself, you can see, it's got a pretty sharp edge. It's not crimped in there. And that's kind of surprising, given that they annealed the brass, and the brass is fairly clean, very smooth. Kind of feels cheap. But, you know, let's go back to weighing powder charge. Get this out of the way real quick. Oops, didn't mean to bump that. And pour it into the cup. So 142.5 grains, that's the weight of the scale. I mean, weight of the cup. So with powder, 24.6 grains of mystery ball powder. So, you know, fair powder charge for a lot of powders. Kind of on the low side for some powders. It's kind of hard to tell. Nothing crazy. Nothing real crazy for 223. Here's the bullet. Came out of it. You can see it's got a nice cantilever. That little ring is. You can ignore my wife and our new dog. In comparison, that 223 can be compared to some cantilevered bullets, very similar to that, I believe. Made by Midway. Packaged by Midway. I think they're made by another company. I don't remember who makes them. But they seem fairly similar. In fact, if I were to put them side to side, I would have a pretty hard time telling the difference between them. The one from the round is on the left. The one that I had in my box is on the right. Compare that to a 69 grain boat tail hollow point, like this one, and a 52 grain boat tail hollow point. These are nozzle custom competitions. Let me order these correctly based on weight. And you can see small size difference, not a super huge size difference. Let me get the camera to focus on them. There you go. So, bullets seem okay. They seem like inexpensive bullets. That's pretty typical. Brass seems okay. Seems like inexpensive brass. Pretty typical. However, not as good as PMC brass, in my opinion. Even though PMC typically does not crimp their primer pockets. So, there's that. But the real reason why I made this video, and the reason why this bugged me so much, here's a complete round, here's what it looks like. I think I might have shown that before. Is that I went to pop the primers out so I could clean this brass and my ultrasonic cleaner. You can see I've got a fair bit, not a huge amount, but a fair bit. And I noticed when I was popping out the primers that it was getting harder and harder to do so, and then all of a sudden I couldn't pop out any more primers. So I checked the die. I have get it out for you. I have a hole punch die because I use an ultrasonic cleaner, and ultrasonic cleaners require, well, it's better to have, well, I guess you are required to have the brass dry before you try to load them. Otherwise, your powder gets wet and your primers get wet, and that's not good. So what I do typically is I pop the primers out so that water can't get trapped in that primer pocket. It's harder to get trapped up against the flash hole. But I was having trouble doing that with this brass, and it didn't make any sense why, because 223 primers are usually pretty easy to get out even if they're crimped. And I looked, and I noticed that the pin of this die was bent almost 90 degrees, and I've since bent it back with a pair of pliers, and you kind of see there's a little bit of a wobble. And the reason is, this is what's so crazy to me, out of the thousands of rounds of brass that I have, this is the first time that I've ever seen something like this. But let me pick some sample brass for you. I'm sure some of you know exactly where this is going. Let me set them up in my hand so you can see. But if you look right in there, those primer flash holes are drilled way off center. Some of them right up against the side of the brass. Get a different angle. See how crooked that is? Pick some more samples. Crooked. No, that one's not as bad. This one's pretty bad. This is a pretty bad crooked one. So you can angle it, you can see, but face on, pretty crooked. And that's a problem when it comes to ammo, because if your primer, if those flash holes are drilled off center and that primer goes off and it kicks around and it ignites powder unevenly, that's probably the reason why this ammo didn't shoot so great. And I should have mentioned that before. This ammo doesn't shoot so great. It's worse than most cheap ammo I've shot. It's worse than the PMC bronze by a lot. Overall, very disappointed. So, I would suggest, if you are planning on buying some cheap ammo to plink in, don't go to your Walmart and buy Perfecta. If you're going to buy some, get, I haven't had any problem with American Eagle. I haven't had any problem with, I like PMC. I keep the brass and I reload it. Haven't had any problem with Wolf. In fact, this is the first time I've really had major issues with ammo. And that's why I'm making a video about it. So, that is that. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, give me feedback, because I'd love to make these videos better. But this is the first video of tonight. I'm going to review a couple other things, so stay tuned. for the follow-ups on other things. Alright, thank you.